Hey, Tracy Ariel here. This week, we're talking about imagination. Uh, have you ever created something that you didn't even think was possible? You imagined it and then it happened? For me, my whole life is a little bit like that. When I first moved to Montreal to become a writer, I had no idea how exactly you create that kind of a career, that kind of a business, that kind of a life. And now it's 25 years later. I'm married, I have two children, and more than anything else, I'm a writer. And it's astonishing to me that that came true. If you had told me when I was a little girl that I'd actually be writing books and being a journalist and doing all of the things that I do to make a living, I wouldn't have believed you. It was like a dream. Uh, and lots of us have there's entire worlds that get created out of reality gets created out of imagination. It's not just my life, but if you look at the world around us, we have Elon Musk actually sending off rockets into space. We have the device that I'm filming this on is a tiny little thing, which is even smaller than the shoe that Get Smart used to use when I was a kid. Uh, from Barack Obama as president to Jean Chrétien when he was president. If anyone would have told him when he was a kid that that would have been possible, he wouldn't have believed it. Justin Trudeau was a teacher in British Columbia. At that time, I'm sure he didn't think he would ever be Prime Minister of Canada. It's so amazing what you can do. I mean, everybody knows you can create entire worlds out of imagination. I mean, just look what J.K. Rowling has done with the Harry Potter series. All of us, all of a sudden, can imagine flying on broomsticks and playing Quidditch. We can actually imagine two different worlds where some people are magical and the rest of us are just muggles. And she created that all out of her imagination. Uh, but it works in nonfiction too, and that's what I really want to talk about today. I want to encourage you to create out of your imagination the life that you want. Uh, Obviously, you can imagine it, and what you imagine isn't necessarily what's going to take place, but at least you can create something that's different than it would be if you didn't try imagining something. There's all sorts of books that make this really clear. Like, have you ever read The Blue Ocean Strategy? This is just an idea, and somebody uh, created an entire um, new way of thinking about business with just one single idea, the Blue Ocean Strategy. Do what's not expected. There's another book by Norman Doidge called The Brain That Heals Itself. This is something that people never imagined was true and that he's discovered is true. Look at black holes. Look at Steven Pinker's world, his idea that we are in a kinder, more gentler world. These are all initially moments of imagination. And then the person who imagined something went out in the world and went to see if they could find evidence for their idea. And they did. Uh, and then the idea gets stronger. And then we all imagine it. And then we can, right now, the United Nations has just announced that they want zero hunger by 2030. They've created a campaign. Uh, they want saner agriculture practices. This is something that I think all of us can imagine. Wouldn't it be nice if everyone woke up with enough food to eat and that it was so nutritious that they didn't get sick? This is an extraordinary moment of imagination that I hope we can all get behind. What else can you imagine? Um, what in your life can you imagine? What moments can you think would be something that we can all get behind? Every community is based first on a vision that people imagine, and then they share. Each person imagines something, they share their ideas with others, and then you create a joint vision, which is just a joint imagination. There's the transition movement. There is Dan Sullivan and Peter Diamandis and a whole bunch of, and Ron Kurzweil, of course. They're all trying to live for, well, Peter Diamandis wants to live for 700 years. Dan Sullivan is a little bit less optimistic. He only wants to live for 156 years. These are imagination, moments of imagination, and they're working on actually making this happen. Peter Diamandis has created an organization where you can go down and get your genetic, basically it's like a health organization to work on where you are at now so you can treat anything that might be found before it actually gets worse. Because in the healthcare sector, obviously if you find and treat an illness early, you have a better chance of survival. So, I mean, if just when you look back at medical treatment, it looks barbaric now because people imagine things. Look at antibiotics. It was just a piece of mold. Somebody imagined and then did the work. The thing is, all good ideas start with imagination, and then they take work to accomplish. And that's the hard part. So, but you have to actually imagine something that's amazing. And I think that the world of nonfiction is built on proving that what we imagine is true. So I'd love to hear how you're using your imagination to create a better life for yourself. And just let me know in the comments. Thanks.